Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Israelites 13 channel. I'm your host, and I'm joined with my good friend, Carl. Carl, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing great, buddy. Good to be here, Joey.
All right, tonight's topic, we're going to get right into it. Tonight's topic is Adam and Eve, the untold story. And Carl, why don't you give the audience a little background of what we're doing?
Oh, we're digging into some of the ancient texts, the texts that were hidden by the so-called church fathers, taken away from us by the what I like to call the planetary controllers, the 13 families that are running the planet, and through the church's organized religion, they've hidden a lot of the text from us. And these ancient texts or hidden texts fill in a lot of the blanks that are left when you go to your Judeo-Christian church and you get 66 books. You get a minimal version of the story. These actually fill in the blanks and answer a lot of the questions that are left open. I mean, and I've been to church before, and you ask questions, or you mention where there's some conflicting evidence or contradictions, and this preacher's telling you, no, there's no contradiction. Well, it's full of contradiction unless you've got the entire story and you can understand what's going on. So that's what we're doing here. We're going back to Adam and Eve, the untold story, and I mean it is untold. I mean the bare minimum version that you get in the church is nothing compared to what this is. This actually expands and clears up a lot of the mystery.
All right, so that's pretty much hitting the ground running there. So I appreciate that, Carl. So let's get started. So it's like we said, it's called Adam and Eve, the untold story. We're going to go to our first slide here. And we talked in the past about the word of God being hidden from us, and we're using different texts that pretty much say the same thing, and we're going to get into them. Carl, would you like me to start it off, or you want to start reading?
Oh, buddy, I can read it. Let me move this. Okay, all right. Let's take it from. And in a day when the children of men shall esteem my words as naught, and take many of them from the book which thou shalt write, behold, I will raise up another like unto thee, and they shall be had again among the children of men, among as many as shall believe. There's a lot in that. That little passage there has a lot in it. So off to the side, we see the Pharisees and the scribes have hidden the word of God from the children of Adam, children of men, children of Adam. That's what we're talking about. So what have they done? They've taken the words out of the book. But what's going to happen in the end times? I mean, that little passage right there has a lot to say, Joey.
And no doubt. And Carl, you're absolutely right on that. Let's go into the next slide and see. We're gonna compare these to other texts, and basically they're all saying the same thing. So we're gonna go here, and this is Luke chapter 11, verse 52 through 54. The Pharisees, the Babylonian usurpers of 2 Kings 17, the Sepharvaim. I have both translations here, the Wycliffe and the King James. I'm gonna start off with the Wycliffe. It says, "Woe to you, wise men of the law." And then if you look here in the King James, it says, "Woe to you, woe to you unto you lawyers. They've taken away the keys of knowledge." So the keys of knowledge, "and ye yourselves entered not, and ye have forbidden them that entered." And when the Pharisees said these things to them, the Pharisees and wise men of the law began grievously to stand against him, and to stop his mouth of many things, ambushing him and seeking to take something of his mouth to accuse him. They should not accuse him. Carl, any thoughts on that, bro?
Well, yes, definitely. And this whole thing, this lawyers thing, again, we're not talking about a divorce lawyer or a slip and slide lawyer. We're talking about the very people that write the laws of the land, just like our own Congress and Senate, who are doing very much the same thing these guys are doing. That was mentioned in that time. Nothing new under the sun. There's this same cycle is repeating itself. These are the lawgivers, the lawmakers, and what they're doing, they're hiding information from us, and under our constitutional system, they're doing the same thing. They're writing laws that apply to you and I, but they exempt themselves. They make it so vague and so convoluted that when you step, I forget what they say. Every time you step out of your house, you're in violation of many laws that you have no idea that they're there. And all they got to do is look this stuff up, just you walking down the street, and they can get you into trouble. Again, they're always seeking to ambush you so they can accuse you of something, just like they did Jesus. Oh yeah, we're living in this as well. The Pharisees, the Sadducees are up in Washington on Capitol Hill as we speak.
Oh, no doubt. And you can see subtle changes between this verse 52 and 53. It doesn't say lawyers in the Wycliffe, which is an older version, but I don't think the term lawyer was actually used until like the 14th century. I could be mistaken on that time frame, but it tells you in verse 53, it says, and I think in the context that this verse is what they're speaking of, they're talking about the Levitical priesthood and God's laws. So in other words, the Pharisees are the ones keeping or hiding the keys of wisdom and knowledge. So the real children of Israel or the children of Adam cannot ascend, and they fall or they die in their sin. So in other words, the Pharisees, they, like Jesus said, only those can return to heaven who came from heaven. So the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the children of Cain and the Hittite tribes, they're not allowed back into the heavens. In other words, would you agree?
Agree. And now, okay, let's another thing just came to me. So who is fulfilling this role today? The hireling and the wolf in sheep's clothing that are at the pulpit of every one of these Judeo-Christian churches, whether Catholicism, the Daughters of Catholicism, Protestantism, 33,000 different denominations of Protestantism, and the same thing. These guys are the ones keeping that key, the key of knowledge away from the people. They're doing the same job that these guys did in the old days, keeping the laws of God away from us with this universal message and watered down version of God's gospel.
And also laying in verse 54, laying a trap to control his speech so they could lay a trap and accuse him and use God's law against him, or eventually to ensnare him in his words so that they could, crucify him or kill him, in other words.
And what they were doing now, they were using, we say God's law, but they were using the tradition of the elders, Talmudic law, which they had already twisted all that around. So they had him according to their law, but according to God's law, he was innocent under God's law. That's how that sacrifice was able to work.
Exactly. Well, let's go to the next slide and see what we got here. All right. Gospel of Thomas. Jesus confirms the Pharisees, scribes have hidden the word of God from the Atlantean white race of Adam so they may not ascend back into the heavens. Carl, you want to take this one?
Okay. Jesus said, many times have you desired to hear these words, which I am saying to you, and you have no one else to hear them from. In other words, until he showed up, they weren't hearing this because, again, they were under these Sadducees, Pharisees, and this bastardized, corrupted Talmudic laws that they had now placed themselves under. There will be days when you look for me and will not find me. Jesus said, the Pharisees and the scribes have taken the keys of knowledge and hidden them. They themselves have not entered, nor have they allowed to enter those who wish to. You, however, be as wise as serpents and as innocent as doves. We've mentioned this several times in the past when we're having a discussion. You have to be as wise as these snakes are, but do no harm. But you got to get on their level as far as your way of operating and thinking without doing the damage to innocent people.
Well, I totally agree. And if you read the very beginning of it, it says, Jesus said, many times you desired to hear these words, which I am saying to you. And he said, you'll look for me and you will not find me. What he's really telling you is you'll look for my word and you won't find it because, like you said in the past, the lying pen of the scribes. They've taken a lot of his word. So a lot of people that think in the 66 books, you have God's entire word and unadulterated, it's straight from his mouth. Well, Jesus is telling you straight from his mouth, no, the words have been taken. The keys of knowledge and wisdom have been hidden from you. Would you agree, Carr?
Yes, agree.
All right. Let's go to the next one. All right. Well, here, this is from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and I'm gonna go ahead and read this, and I'm gonna minimize this for a second here, Carl. All right. It says, "Man is a star bound to a body. Until the end, he is freed through his strife. Only by struggle and toiling thy utmost shall the star within thee bloom out in new life. He knows the commencements of all things. Free is his star from the realm of night. Remember, O man, that all which exists is only another form of which exists not. Everything that has being is passed into yet other being, and thou thyself are not an exception. Here we go with the law. Consider the law, for all is law. Seek not that which is not of the law, for such exist only in the illusion of the senses. Wisdom cometh to all her children, even as they cometh unto wisdom, all through the ages. Now pay attention here real close. All through the ages, the light has been hidden. Awake, O Adam, and be wise. Carl, any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm looking at where wisdom cometh to all her children, even as they cometh unto wisdom. So if we're not looking for wisdom and trying to seek out wisdom, wisdom has no obligation to come to us. It's a joining together. We have to be looking for it before wisdom actually agrees to join up with us. That's what I'm getting out of that last verse there. That hit me pretty hard when you read that.
Well, and bro, there's no doubt. And if you read through that very last part, it says all through the ages, the light. You can say, I mean, that can have multiple levels of meanings, but from as far as a knowledge standpoint, it's light is wisdom, knowledge. Knowledge is power. And he's telling you the light has been hidden from you. So it's saying, awake and be wise. Awake, O children of Adam, and be wise. Seek the light. The light is the wisdom. Or in other words, like Jesus said, that they've hidden it from you. You'll seek my face or my word, and you will not find it. Jesus is the word of God. You'll seek his word, and it's been hidden from you. And we've gone to multiple sources telling you the same thing over and over and over again. Would you agree?
Yes, and the key word is here, you have to seek. You can't just sit there and expect this stuff to be downloaded and dumped on you. Wisdom, you have to seek wisdom in order for wisdom to find you and you to find wisdom.
No doubt, bro. Well, and we're gonna skip over to a different subject here for a second, but it has to do with pretty much the same thing. We spoke in the past, and I'm using this verse, Acts chapter 18, verse 21. And I've compared the King James with the Wycliffe Bible. And there are certain people out there that teach, this Feast of Tabernacles, and that you're going to go to hell and you're going to burn forever if you don't pitch a tent in the woods and be noble and, like they are. And what this verse is basically telling you here, if you read the King James version, and Carl, do me the honor, bro, would you read the King James?
Yes, sir. But bade them farewell, saying, I must by all means keep this feast that cometh in Jerusalem, but I will return again unto you, if God will. And he sailed from Ephesus.
Wow, I think you said it on our last conversation. Didn't you say that sounds kind of contrived?
Yeah,
I must by
like
all means.
it's just absolutely imperative. Like that was placed in there. It's just imperative that you go to this feast in Jerusalem.
Exactly. And like we said before, Sir Francis Bacon was one of the literary consultants, if not the literary consultant, for the King James in the first edition of the first edition of the King James Bible. And when you go into the older text of the Wycliffe, and I hate to task you with this, bro, but I think you would know this old style English a little better than I would.
Oh my goodness! Like I said, this is like borderline. This is like a mix between Low German and English. So
this is
back
old school.
Before our people split. And he consented not, but he made farewell and said, if it shall turn again to you, if I shall turn again to you, if God will, I'll turn again to you. And he went forth from Ephesus.
So wait, hold on a second. So where's the feast? I must by all means keep the feast. So we have certain charlatan frauds that tell you that you're going to burn in hell if you don't pitch a tent in the middle of the woods. And here in the verse that they use, these charlatan fraud pretend teachers that tell you, if you don't do this, your salvation is attached to this. But when you look in the older verses, there's no mention of the Feast of Tabernacles in Jerusalem.
And can I throw something else in there?
Sure.
So even if you were to keep a feast and you were commanded to keep a feast, our calendar today, 12 months of anywhere from 28 to 31 days a month. Think about that. The calendar that was done away with by this very calendar we use today, under they shall seek to change times and seasons, you're warned of this, was 13 months of 28 days. New Year did not happen in the dead of winter on that calendar. It happened April the 1st. So even if you thought you were keeping a feast according to the calendar we have today, you have no idea when that feast. In other words, you can't honor God with these feast days because you don't even know when they are. That's just another thing. Not counting the fact that it looks like it was thrown in from an older version from like Wycliffe didn't mention it. So it was obviously added in. And then even if it wasn't added in, how do you know to keep it if you don't even know what day you're at or when the new year starts? There's no way. I mean, this whole thing is silly because just as we were warned, they shall seek to change times and seasons. That's been done. Times and seasons have been changed.
Well,
And they're in your face with it.
I don't mean to interrupt you. And we just went through in the beginning of the show notes, different sources, Jesus himself telling you that they're going to take my word away from you. So that doesn't only mean take his word, that means add things as well.
Yes.
So you can clearly see in the much older verse, basically Paul did not, so, Paul did say that. No, he didn't. Paul didn't say one such word. The Masoretic scribes added that to there from the Talmud, because that's where this feast comes from. And he tells you right here, if I will return it, if God wills. And he went from Ephesus. So take care, guys. Peace out. He left.
Yes, sir.
It didn't say I must by all means keep this feast. So this is bombshell.
And think about how specific that is of an add-on. By all, in other words, you can't know. I'll not miss this no matter what. So definitely been added in.
Well, you said it perfect, bro. On our last phone conversation, you said that it's contrived.
Yes,
obviously it's contrived. And this, you can't get around this. You can say what you want. Oh, you can make a Bible verse, say whatever you want. No, we're comparing an older version. Like we said in the past, the devil doesn't work like super fast. It's incremental. Like you said, like boiling the frog in the water. You just do it real slow. You put him in cold water and slowly turn the heat up. Well, every time a new version of the Bible comes out, something is taken out or something is added. And the only way to get the understanding, you have to compare them with each other.
Yes.
So let's go to the next slide here.
Oh, that's some heavy stuff. Yes, sir. Oh, hello.
Well, here we go. Another example. And yes, and you brought this to my attention, and you want me to go with this or you got it?
Oh, buddy, where do you want me to start at?
Let's go with the King James.
King James, verse 21. I hate it. that's pretty strong language. I hate. And then he compounds it with, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. In other words, he's not going to be there enjoying this stuff. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them, neither will I regard the peace offering of your fat beasts. Take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melody of thy viols or the harps or violins. But let judgment run down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. Have ye offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel? But ye have borne the But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch and Chiun, your images, the star of your God, which ye made to yourselves. Born the tabernacles of your Moloch and Chiun. What's the feast called? The Feast of Tabernacles.
Feast of Booths. There you go. And if you, it's almost the same thing. If you go down to verse 24 in the Wycliffe, it says, "And doom shall be showed at," I don't know what that says, water, if you refuse as a strong stream, whether ye, the house of Israel, offer to me sacrifices for enemies to overcome and sacrifice in the desert 40 years. And ye have bore tabernacles to Moloch, your God. So he's specifically telling you that you're offering this feast where they brought the golden calf out in the tent. He's telling you that you didn't offer this to me. This was not to me. You offered this to your God, who is Moloch, a derivation of Satan. This has nothing to do with our Father. Nothing whatsoever. He says, and the image of your idol, you or the star of your God, which you made to you. This, he didn't say, you're doing this to me, for me. I'm commanding you to do this feast day. So you have some verses that will say, yeah, go ahead and engage in the feast. And then you have verses like this that say the total opposite. And we just showed in this verse right here in Acts 18 that there were things added and taken away.
Yes.
So you can't get around this. You can't talk with a forked tongue like a serpent and have it one way, and then when it fits your narrative, or your force or forcing your control over others. But then here it's telling you point blank, there's no mention of a Feast of Tabernacles. Well, let's see right here.
Whoa. Okay.
Israel's feast day, or Babylonian feast of the star god Moloch, aka Satan. So I'll start off with the Wycliffe.
Okay.
It says Wycliffe, John 7. This is Jesus saying this. After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Judea, for the Jews sought to slay him. And there was nigh a feast day of the Jews, Feast of Tabernacles. So could you please reread that number 2 for me, Cora? I don't know if I just read that right.
And there was nigh a feast day of the Jews, not of the Hebrews, not of the Judahites, but of the Jews. A feast of tabernacles.
And he's specifically saying, this is Jesus telling you this. He's telling you he wouldn't even go in there because they sought to kill him. Yes, he didn't say go in there, go into Judea for my feast day and honor my feast day. He didn't say that. He said that there was a feast day of the Jews. These are the ones that wanted to kill him and eventually did kill him.
And those are the Edomites, the descendants of Esau, Edom, that are in the land today that's called the Holy Land.
No doubt. And you want to contrast that to the King James, Carl?
Yes, sir. After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry, because the Jews sought to kill him. Now the Jews' Feast of Tabernacles was at hand. Again, pretty clear whose feast this was.
So Jesus told you whose feast day it was.
Yes, sir.
And then you have charlatan frauds that tell you, no, Paul said it, but no, Paul did not say it. The Masoretic scribes added this right out of the Talmud, and they added this into the Old and New Testament. And here we have a perfect example. You can bring whatever verse up you want, but you cannot get away from this. And this clearly tells you that the Feast of Tabernacles was added to the Bible by the Masoretic scribes.
This begs the question, why would you insist that God's people, his children, his saints, observe this Feast of Tabernacles? I mean, at all costs, you're pushing it like you're selling this for some reason. Why would you push for folks to follow this Feast of Tabernacles and actually defile yourself if you're doing this? And that's just my words. If you actually follow this Feast of Tabernacles and observed it according to what we just read here, you've just defiled yourself before the Most High God. Any thoughts on that? Yeah,
well, he even tells you himself, right? He tells you in both the versions. He says that this is not. He said you bore tabernacles to Moloch, your God, your God. So he's not our God. That's not our Father. No. Our Father is Jesus Christ, and right here the Word of God tells you right here that Moloch, that the Feast of Tabernacles is to praise Moloch. And you can see in the earlier verse that we just went to that it's right there as well. So we already read this right here. So let's go to the next slide. And you can see this little illustration here of the booth with a golden calf inside. That's how it was presented to the children of Israel. And Carl, I know you and I got a kick out of this one, but we went into the Talmud and we were reading some of the history of the Feast of Tabernacles. Would you like to take this one and give your insight like you did yesterday? Because that was incredible, bro.
This comes from the Talmud, which that's them. That's the Esau, Edom, the Babylonian high priest. This is their opinion. According to the opinion of some of the rabbis, the Israelites did not really dwell in booths in the wilderness, but were surrounded by clouds, by 7 clouds. Now, this to me, like we said, this to me is their acknowledgement that the children of Israel, God's chosen people, were protected and surrounded by 7 clouds. Now, who sent those clouds? The Father sent those clouds to protect our people when they were in the wilderness. So this to me is the Talmud is actually admitting to and acknowledging that no, they weren't dwelling in booths and worshiping Moloch, but they were absolutely protected and under the cover of 7 different clouds.
And if they're the real Israelites, why would they say right here, according to their rabbis, the Israelites never really dwelled in the booths in the wilderness?
Exactly. So and 7 clouds, aren't there 7 spirits of God that go forth from the seven candlesticks, they call it?
That's right.
Dude. That's the 7 spirits of God that were watching over our people. They didn't have to sit up under a little handmade booth.
And he did the same exact thing for the 10 northern tribes. Yeah. In second Ezra chapter 13, it tells you that when our father took the 10 tribes out of the Assyrian Empire, they were in the land of Media, and they went and said it took them a year and a half, and they went west and then went over the Caucasus Mountains. Said that he came down in a cloud, and they followed him in a cloud, and he showed them signs, and they followed him and went into our Sarth. You know the rest of the verse.
Yes, sir. And dude, if I had hair right now, it'd be standing up on the back of my neck, dude. This is heavy.
Oh, there's no doubt. Well, bro, you cracked this one. This was incredible. I mean, we presented the what the rabbis tell you from their own book, and like we said before, when you go into the Talmud and you read it, it's the most ridiculous rituals. I guess seems like a ritual. Like they'll tell you, oh, you have a tent, and if you can have a tent, but it has to have 3 sides, and if you lay on a cot, one of your feet have to stick out and the other has to have a sock on it. And it's the most ridiculous stuff I've ever heard, and it's just rule upon rule and edict upon edict by the elders, like we said before. But let's go to the next slide here and jump into the next thing. All right, so we're going to get back into Francis Bacon and his influence on the Bible. It says the first edition of the King James Bible, which was edited by Francis Bacon and prepared under Masonic supervision, bears more Mason's marks than the Cathedral of Strasbourg, Manly P. Hall, from the lecture Rosicrucian and Masonic Origins in 1929. So from the very beginning, and I'm not saying that Bacon was a bad guy. The English, the Baconian English that he came up with is beautiful compared to the Wycliffe, old, like you said, old German stuff.
That's pure guttural. I mean, the Wycliffe sounds like you're listening to a bunch of Amish doing a jam session around the back of a wagon, dude. I mean, that's some horrible sounding stuff. You're right. This was like Shakespearean plays were written with this English here.
Exactly. And I'm no expert on all the Bibles. I've studied them over the years, but I would say there are people far more learned than I am when it comes to this. But I do know that the King James itself, we don't have the very first edition of the King James. They've had new editions that have come out since then. So let's go here. This is gonna be a little on the deep end. I'm gonna let Carl get this one, but we're gonna talk about Sir Francis Bacon and his impact on the Bible and our religion as a whole, and who this strange guy was. He was a genius by any stretch of the imagination. This guy was sharp as a razor. And Carl, could you pick this up and read this and tell me your thoughts on this?
Oh, okay. And again, my jury's still out on Mr. Bacon, but could Sir Francis Bacon be Thoth? Good question. A number of writers, some of whom were connected with Theosophy, have claimed that Francis Bacon, born 22 January 1561 and lived till 9 April 1626, the English philosopher, statesman, scientist, jurist, and author, was a member of secret societies. A smaller number claimed that he would have attained the ascension and became the ascended master, Saint Germain. Now that's and again, very interesting. Like I say, my jury's still out on the Saint Germain and what his role is in all of this, and if whether he's good or bad. I'll be honest with you, I've got to do a lot more research on that. And my take is that it's on the spectrum of dark, light, dark magic, light magic. But again, this is just me. When we've got you always have to have like the white square and the black square according to the Masonic order. You got that counterbalancing each other. And when the light of God himself is not on the spectrum, it's just pure light of God. So again, this whole Saint Germain ascended master thing, and you got to understand, I've been indoctrinated for 55 years in the church, and it's this mind resistance to anything that's outside of that box or comes across as new age. And it's again, I'm struggling with this and I'm wrestling with it, but I'm outside of my comfort zone working on it. So go ahead.
Well, and brother, I'm not saying, believe what I'm saying or not.
Oh no. And that's what I'm saying. My mind is open.
I just know that the like you said, the Judeo-Christian church, and this, it's run by the World Council of Churches, and they always have a narrative, in other words. So, and when I hear the church say, oh, this person is bad or that person's bad, I have a hard time with that. And I just, taking someone's word, I have to dig into it myself.
Yes.
And I'm not an expert on Bacon. A lot of people say that he was, Francis Bacon was the real Shakespeare. And Shakespeare that goes back to the goddess, I think it was Athena.
Yes, sir. Shaking the spear at God.
Well, no, actually, it wasn't God. She was shaking the spear at ignorance and darkness.
Oh, ignorant. Okay.
It was ignorance. And if you really get into some of Bacon's work, like he didn't complete this book, but one of the last books he wrote, it was called I think it was The New Atlantis. And he always spoke of at the United States was the New Atlantis. He was probably like the first scientist. He's been credited for the saying, knowledge is power. But he was a very brilliant guy. And what I've done here is I've connected a lot of these books, and the reason I put the header up there, could Francis Bacon be thought? Because when you start to read, the theosophy and all this, and I'm not a theosophist, like I said before, God gives everybody little bits and pieces of truth and knowledge. So I'm not saying I'm a fan of Aleister Crowley or his ilk. I mean, he was a straight up demon, that guy.
Yes.
But Francis Bacon had a huge influence on the United States. And back in his time, I guess he was accredited with, he was like the very first scientist, like where you would have the academia of the time. They would sit there and read. I'll give an example. If an apple falls from a tree, how long does it take for it to hit the ground? And they would read about it. In other words, so what he did is he actually went there, shook the tree, and made the apple fall and timed it. And so he was accredited as being one of the very first scientists. And what I've done is I've attached or connected a lot of these books, going back all the way to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And
yes, sir.
We'll go through some of the other slides. So
see, that's why I understand people when we talk to them and we get, they turn you off or they don't want to listen. I understand that because the indoctrination is so deep. And bro, like I said, 55 years of my life, I was in this indoctrination, and I've come out of it. And every time something like this hits me, it causes a physical reaction. And really and truly, it causes an anxiety. And I've got to work my way through that. But here we go. You want me to take this one?
Yeah, but we've all been indoctrinated though. So I mean, like you have people out there and they're, oh, Saint Germain was this, and he was the devil, and he was Satan, and he was all this because he popped in different time periods, but they don't have the history. There was an individual that said he would do the same exact things as Saint Germain did, and that individual was Thoth. Thoth said that he would pop in through different time periods, and through the children of Atlantis would bring forth hidden knowledge back, because remember, Atlantis fell, the whole world fell as well, back to like almost like a caveman state. It fell, and then all the advanced knowledge of the gods that lived with the people were taken. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, if you would please do us the honor and read this.
And before I read it, something just hit me. We're perfectly okay sitting in church and hearing about Enoch, who was and was not. He walked with God and he was not because God took him. We're perfectly okay with that version of Saint Germain or Thoth because that's in that Judeo-Christian Bible. But because these other books are taken from us, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and all of that, we're not okay with that. But he was taken for what? So he re-enters different time frames or timelines with this knowledge.
Cycles of time. Exactly, bro. You're
Yes, sir.
spot on.
So see that actually just cleared. I mean, again, I've worked through it just in there talking to you. So Saint Germain, Egyptian god Thoth, Enoch. Oh, we talking about the same person. So let's read.
Well, I do not agree with this first part, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, I got you right on. Saint Germain is attributed to many roles in history, including Jesus, which in turn takes us to extraterrestrials and the Anunnaki. And then out of that word Anunnaki, words we have Adam, Atum, Anum, and Anu. So who was Adam, right?
Exactly.
So some believe Saint Germain was the same soul as the Egyptian god Thoth, the progenitor of this experiment. Some sources believe Saint Germain's name is not familial, but was invented by him as a French version of the Latin Sanctus Germanus, meaning holy brother.
See right there. In other words, that's not even his name. His name wasn't Saint Germain. That was just code for he's one of the holy brothers of the children of Atlantis. That's what it meant, in my opinion. Now,
okay,
I'm not saying that's concrete, but if you're familiar with the ancient text and you see this individual Saint Germain that spoke all types of different languages, and they say this guy, he was an alchemist, and he could turn metals into lead to gold. I don't know how true that was, but he was a remarkable individual. I mean, you have people like, I think it was Casanova even spoke about him. He wrote about him, and then there were people that were, when they were younger, saw him, and then when they saw him again, like 20, 30 years later, they said he looked exactly the same. He hadn't changed at all. So back to his name, if you get into, like he said, he made this name up, Sanctus Germanus, meaning holy brother. Well, who are the sons of God? The sons of light. Who's holy? Our Father. Therefore, his children would be holy. So he's telling you he's one of the children of God, in my opinion. What say you, Carl?
And again, bring us up to speed again on what Atlantis means. Break down what Atlantis means today in your language.
Atlantis means today, it means Atum's land, Adam's land.
Exactly. See, I think that's been missed by a lot of folks as well. And I know we've discussed it, but just so people know where we're coming from, Atlantis existed. Yes, I firmly believe that, in another Earth age. And these Earth ages have been hidden from us. And who knows how many times you and I and people around have been cycled through these Earth ages to play our part in these Earth ages and under attack from the enemy. And sometimes we have victory, like these last days. Now we're being, I hate to use the word activated, but we're being awakened to the mission in this end of this particular age. If you don't realize that this age is cranking up to an end right now, then you got your eyes closed. But we are quickly coming up to the end of an age, and some of us have got a mission to perform, a job to do in this age, or at the end of this age. And we're just now being woken up to what that mission is. Well, and Carl, more and more, I'm finding people who are on the same page we are now, which before you couldn't have this conversation outside of our circle.
Well, let me ask you, let me interject this. Before you get activated, do you have a new name picked out for yourself, or are you going to let God give you a name? Because I thought when someone's name changed that God did it. I didn't realize that you could actually activate yourself and change your own name.
But because if it was up to me, you could call me Fabio, but that's not going to happen.
Oh, bro, you're definitely Fabio, bro. There's no doubt.
Saint Fabio.
All right, well, let's all jokes aside, let's go to the. Yes. So right here it says Thoth instrumental in bringing forward New Atlantis, Atum's land, Adam's land, New Jerusalem, USA. I'm just going to go to the second. Well, I'll start from the top. It says, long dwelt we in the land of Kim, that's Egypt, long and yet long again, until obeying the commands of the master, Jesus, that's another name for Jesus Christ, while sleeping yet lives eternally, I sent from me the sons of Atlantis, sent them in many directions, that from the womb of time, wisdom might rise again in her children or in the children of Adam. That's
Yes.
where all the technology came from. When Atlantis fell, it was taken. Like you said before in the past, a restart. So, continuing, it says, long time dwelt I in the land of Egypt, doing great works by the wisdom within me. Upwards grew into the light of knowledge the children of Kim, watered by the rains of my wisdom. Blasted I then a path to Amenti, so that I might retain my powers, living from age to age. A son of Adam's land, keeping the wisdom, preserving the record. So, in other words, he's telling you in this on the second paragraph, he said he blasted his way through the halls of Amenti. The halls of Amenti is I would say a recycling chamber of bodies. And this, I'm just going off of what these texts say. This is not my opinion. This is what the texts say. The halls of Amenti, because there's a part in there, he says when he was younger, God allowed him to become free of the halls of Amenti, and he traveled through the universe in his spirit. God let him do that. And then it says that when he came back, he was put back into a body, and that God said that he would put him in different cycles of time. So he's telling you, I might retain my powers. Well, what powers is he talking about? He's talking about his powers of living through the different cycles of immortality, living from age to age.
Without having his memory wiped, dude. He's got the memory and has
Exactly.
and has the memory of every age he's lived through. Unlike us, we've had our stuff wiped clean before we enter.
Well, and he's telling you, bro, that's brilliant. I didn't even think that's good stuff right there. But he's telling you also, it says that he's living from age to age. So how long is an age? I mean, it's not really specific, but he's telling you that he's a son of Adam. He's the same bloodline.
Yes, sir.
And remember, when Atlantis went down, God sent him on the mission in the fifth tablet. He took the children from the cave, or the island of Undal.
Yes.
He took them from there, and then they went into the land of Kim. And when he went into Egypt, it says they came out to attack him with spears and cudgels. Why did they do that? Because the leaders of my opinion, the leaders of Egypt at that time, I believe it was Osiris and Isis, who were just another derivation of Cain and Lulua.
Yes, sir. The lesser gods, the seed of the serpent was there.
Exactly. But he also tells you, he says, keeping the wisdom and preserving the records. Well, when we got the last show we did, we were reading from the hidden book of Moses. And remember the record that Adam kept? It was a genealogical record of the children of God.
Yes.
So he's telling you right here, he was a big player in this. As a matter of fact, he led the mission, the rescue mission from the children of Adam. Go ahead, Carl.
And that record would be what we would call in the Judeo-Christian Bible the book of life. That's a recording of the children, the DNA, the genetic offspring of Adam.
And Noah was pure in his genetics.
Genealogy, generation.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, you want to pick this one up here?
Okay. Deep in Earth's heart lie the halls of Amenti, far neath the islands of sunken Atlantis, halls of the dead and halls of the living, bathed in the fire of the infinite all. For in a past time, lost in the space-time, the children of light looked down on the world, seeing the children of men in their bondage. Bound by the force that came from beyond, knew they that only by freedom from bondage could man ever rise from the earth to the sun. Down they descended and created bodies, taking the semblance of men as their own. The masters of everything said after their forming, we are they who were formed from the space dust, partaking of life from the infinite all, living in the world as children of men, like and yet unlike the children of men.
Wow, that is deep.
The gods, Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan,
Another name for Adam.
yeah, another name. I mean, all of these god, these men living as gods on this planet that we have like mythology and history and that kind of thing. That's them, buddy. We've been here throughout the ages.
Well, you just said it right, and it says it right here in this other tablet of thought. It says, "I sent me the sons of Atlantis, sent them in many directions." So that was so when you talk about Kukulkan and all these different gods in South America, that these were the children of Atlantis, or Adam's children, through Seth. They call the Sethians or the Sethites and his children. This was them before their fall. In other words, in their light body form.
Yes, sir.
But it basically just backed up what you just said. So he's telling you right here in this one tablet you just read, it said that the children of light, that it said that they descended and created bodies, taking a semblance of men as their own, but it says like but yet unlike the children of men. So in other words, that light, the children of light are the children of Adam, are the Anglo-Saxon, Scandinavian, Nordic, Basque, Lombard, and Germanic peoples of the earth. And we're going to prove that later on this, but here, this kind of goes together with what we just talked about. And remember on our phone conversation when we were talking about the space dust, and then we read Genesis 2:7?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, it kind of I was praying about it, kind of got a little bit better understanding of it. But right here it says, "And the Lord God formed Adam," okay, but they use the man trick, "Adam of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and Adam became a living soul." So remember, in his light body, in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, when they ruled from Adam's land, they were in their light body forms. So as above, so below. So Adam, when he was created in the heavens, he was born of the space dust. Our Father created him of the space dust, or element, elements of space, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
And then after his fall, like the book of Adam and Eve tells you, that God like you read last week, God created a body for him when he fell, of flesh that he spread the skin over. Remember we read that last week, Carl?
Yes, sir. And again, we commented in the Judeo-Christian church, it's like God killed a lamb, skinned it, and just wrapped it around him. No, way deeper than that.
Way
again,
deep.
that I learned something on that. When that hit me, you brought that up. That's when I realized we have been fed a watered down fairy tale version of all of this, man. It's much deeper than you'll ever get in Sunday school under the steeple.
Well, and then this confuses you too. It's, oh, he's made of the dust. That means the earth. And then you have the certain Hebrew Israelites, which, they always humor me. I enjoy watching them. It's comical, but they say, oh, he was made of the dirt, and what color is dirt? It's it's like, well, there's all different colors of dirt all over the earth. Like, what region are you talking about? But I'm getting sidetracked there. But
yes, sir.
We're going to talk about. I'm going to read this right here. This is from, if I'm not mistaken, the Book of the Bees. And forgive me, audience, I didn't put the actual source, but we've read this before in the past. It said, God, okay, and they saw the right hand of God. This is the creation of Adam, which the book of Thoth just told you of the space dust. So this is our Father making Adam one of the sons of light before they were traveling through the universe together, like Thoth says. It says, and forgive me, because this is also a micro English. I can barely see this. It says, and they saw the right hand of God stretched out and extended over the whole world, and created things were collected in the palm of his right hand. And they saw that he took a grain of dust from all the earth, and a drop of water from the whole nature of water, and a breath of wind from the atmosphere above, and a little warmth from all the nature of fire. And the angels saw these four feeble elements, that is cold, heat, dryness, and moisture, were laid in the palm of his right hand. and God formed Adam. For what reason did God make Adam out of these four elements? Unless it were that through them everything in the world should be subject unto him. He took a grain of dust, and all the natures which are of the dust might be subject unto Adam. A drop of water, that all of those in the sea and rivers might be his, and a breath of air from all kinds of birds and in the air might be given unto him. And the heat of fire, that all the fiery beings or heavenly host might come to his aid. And God formed, see, they're doing the man trick here again. And it's clearly talking about Adam, but the translators got a hold of this to draw a false correlation to your mind that Adam and the regular man, the Enosh man, are the same, and they're not. It says, and God formed Adam with his holy hand and with his image, with his holy hand. I'm sorry, I kind of lost my thought. With his holy hands, in his image. So Adam was formed in his image, in his holy hand and his likeness. When the angels saw his glorious appearance, they trembled at the beauty of his appearance, for they saw the form of his face blazing with with glorious beauty, like the sphere of the sun, and the light of his eyes was like the sun. The form of his body like the light of crystal. And when he stretched himself and stood in the center of the earth, he set his 2 feet upon the spot where the cross of our Redeemer was placed. For Adam was created in Jerusalem. So I'm going to read this last part, and then I'm going to hand this last one over to you. It says, and there it was that he put on his royal apparel, and the crown of glory was set upon his head, and there he was made king, priest, and prophet. So when they talk about Melchizedek and the priesthood, the very first priesthood, where the crown and priest and prophet was Adam, was the son of God. So that's where Melchizedek, that line came from him all the way down, to Seth and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or his children, in other words, Levi. I digress, but it says, but Adam was created and he was put in his royal apparel, crown of glory was set upon his head, and there he was made king. Okay, so here on the earth, he was made king in Adam's land, a tomb. The God of that they talk about in Egypt, or Atland, as Blavatsky called it in her writings. It says that's where God set him upon the throne of his glory, and there he made him master over all creatures. Any thoughts on that, Carl?
Oh my goodness, dude. A heavy. And again, I go back to the 4 elements, feeble elements. The angels were like wondering, like, what's this all about? But when he combined those elements, he actually placed Adam in charge of water. I mean, I think Adam was probably even in charge of weather, the water, everything on this planet, until that by right of firstborn through Eve was taken from him. And that was our mission. That was our job. When our father Adam was placed here, that was what we're supposed to be doing, be administrators of this planet.
And bro, what you just said is spot on, because it also said that he took one of the elements was heat, or from fire, so that the angels, the angels would be subject unto him. Well, what did Satan say when he wouldn't bow to Adam? He said, I'm made of fire. He's made of dust. I was made first. I will not bow to him. So God made it to where these angels would be subject to him, and Satan wasn't having it. So, hence the whole story of the fallen angels. But bro, I was wondering if you would read this, if you can see this. It's very small.
Yes, sir. Oh, I got it. I'm backed away just enough where my old man eyes can see it.
Well,
God there said,
okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. God said, let us make a helper for Adam. And he threw upon Adam a sleep and a stupor, and took one of his ribs from his left side, and put flesh in his place, and of it, meaning the rib, he formed Eve. He did not make her of earth, that she might not be considered something alien to him in nature. He did not take her from Adam's foreparts, that she might not uplift herself against him, nor from his hind parts, that she might not be accounted despicable, nor from his right side, that she might not have preeminence over him, nor from his head, that she might not seek authority over him, nor from his feet, that she might not be trodden down and scorned in the eyes of her husband. But he took her from his left side. For the side is the place which unites and joins both front and back. I mean, this is heavy. Concerning the sleep which God cast upon Adam, he made him to be half asleep and half awake, that he might not feel pain when the rib was taken from him, and look upon the woman as a hateful thing, and yet not without pain, that he might not think that she was not meet for him in matters of nature. What nature are we talking about, Joey?
Well, right here, I would say where it says that, matters of nature, they're talking about reproduction, and that means in the God form.
Yes,
So
sir.
where it says that she, so in other words, this is a racial connotation. This is that hold on, let me back up. I'll read it. It says, think that she was not meat for him. So in other words, genetically, what's the word? Able to match with him, or to produce gods themselves.
Yes,
because this is kind of hard to swallow, but all the children of Adam were born on the earth in Atlantis in God form. When Atlantis fell, they were taken up. You say, where do you get that? Well, there's certain ancient texts that says that Adam, when before he came down to the earth in the flesh, that it says that he was in the heavens and he gave 70 years of his life to David. So they were conversing with each other, and it said that they were speaking with each other. So I believe, from comparing these books and attaching, connecting the dots, that's what this means. It means that when they were in Atlantis, they were producing God children. And upon the fall, those children were taken back up, and Adam and Eve were left there. And she was pregnant from a lower caste angel, Satan, with Cain, half God from the mother's side, and fallen angel from the father's side. So I think what that verse basically means is that they were genetically compatible.
Yes.
That's the word I was looking for. And for to produce these children in matters of nature and procreation. Sorry on that long-winded rant there, but
no, that was good. That cleared it up, because remember we've had that discussion. That should clear it up for everyone. And then when Adam came to himself, he prophesied and said, "This is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This shall be called woman." And they were both clothed in light and saw not each other's nakedness. So again, the fairy tale version, she takes a bite of an apple and all of a sudden her boobies are sticking out and she has to cover. No, this was way more serious than that. Once that light was taken away, then they were able to see each other's nakedness. And then after that, what happened? To cover that nakedness, God actually puts them in these what we're in right now, these prison suits. Right. Yes, sir.
Well, it tells you right there. It says they were both clothed in light. What clothing store do you go to buy a suit of light? I mean, no such thing. So he's telling you that they were in light bodies, and this is a totally different story than what Genesis tells you. Genesis gives you a watered down version of what happened, and when you're reading that book, you're reading the part of Adam's fall. Basically, so that God made Adam, and he was like a gardener, to till the ground, and which is ridiculous. And this is telling you that when Adam was formed in his true form, and it even says it in the books of Enoch and other texts, that we just read it, and it said in his true form that it said his face was like the orb of the sun, and he was obviously a big individual. It doesn't give you exact measurements how big he was, but it tells you here. And then when you connect this with the books of Adam and Eve, it tells you that after his fall, Adam even said, what I've been altered. What is this flesh? I can't see the angels. My eyes are flesh. So he's confirming exactly what we're bringing forth. Would you agree?
Exactly. And to get it out, we mentioned his physical stature. Now think about that. All you have to do is look at the pyramids to get an idea of what his physical stature was. It had to be absolute. He's the one, him and his guys built those pyramids. And those kind of rocks and that kind of stuff wasn't done by little guys rolling on logs and building ramps and all. That was Adam, and he had to be of a size, of physical stature, to be able to put this into place and to oversee it. I mean, that's my thoughts on it.
Well, to me, it's, that's the age old question, who built the pyramids. But I mean, the only book I've ever really been able to find where it tells you who built the pyramid and the Sphinx next to it is the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Thoth said that he built them. So, but who was he with? He was with Adam, Seth.
Yes, sir.
When Atlantis went down. So I mean, now could this, like we said in the past, if you go all over the world, there are pyramids everywhere. There's pyramids between the coast of, between the tip of Florida and Cuba. They said there's a whole sunken city of pyramids down there. They're all over the planet. So these are the remnants of Adam's land. Like we said, the worldwide caste system where Adam and the children of light were the administrators, just like the Emerald Tablets said that they came down to earth and they made bodies of themselves, but they weren't, at first when they came down, they weren't flesh body. I don't know exactly what they're made of, but he said that they were flesh bodies, but like this book says, they were clothed in light.
Yes, sir.
So clothed, it's not like a suit that you put on. It's literally, he's saying that, like God said in the book of Adam and Eve, that he made skins for them, but he said, but I spread the skin over you. So clothed means you clothe the light. He's clothing these light beings with flesh, and that's what we're in today. But in the past, when Adam was in charge of the earth, this is what he was a light being. Would you agree?
Oh yes. And here's what I look to is when Jesus, you could touch him, you could feel him. Thomas stuck his fingers in the spear hole in his side. He was in a body, you could touch it, but he passed through the wall. He appeared in the room in the middle of them. So that's what I'm saying. You got so many properties. I hate to use the word quantum mechanics and quantum physics, but think about that. I mean, these are flesh bodies that you can touch and feel, but they can pass through, change the molecular structure to reappear anywhere. This is amazing, and this is what we have to look forward to in the age to come. We'll be in these bodies.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go to the next slide. And bro, if you'd read this, do the honor of it.
Okay. Jesus is the light of the world. Okay. John 8:12. Then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. And again, the world, light of the world. What world? God's cosmos here, not a universal reach out to everybody on the planet, the Enosh and the lesser men and the beast of the field. This is, I think, speaking to his people in his world where we were spread all over the planet when he returned.
Well, this if you really dig into this verse, the last sentence, he's telling you right there. He says, "But shall have the light of life." So you back up here, and we just literally read, and they were both clothed in light.
Yes, sir.
So we go, and Jesus says, but you shall have the light of life. So the Adam and Eve clothed in light, they got that light from him, our Father, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And he's telling, I am the light of the world. So therefore his children are called the sons of light. So
if you're not his children, you're not of that genetic offspring, that's not in your program for later on. I don't know what's going to happen to those folks. I really don't. But this is not in the program for everybody on the planet, only for his sons and daughters that actually follow him. Will he give them that power to be bathed once again or clothed in a light body?
Exactly. Well, and this is also from the Nag Hammadi. This is from Gospel of Thomas, and I'll just read this real quick. Jesus, what I'm doing, I'm just connecting all these texts. They all say the same thing. And Jesus said, it is I who am the light. He goes with that light again, which is above them all. It is I who am the all. From me did the all come forth, and unto me did the all extend. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there. So I was just like, this last part right here, it seems kind of trivial, piece of wood, lift up the stone and you'll find me there. Like, what does that mean? To me, he's telling you he's the light of the world, that the world is his matrix. So in everything that you see, like wood, whatever the subatomic structure of wood or stone is. He said, anything that you do on the earth came from this light. In other words, that's what he's telling you right here. He is the all. Remember, the Bible says that the word of God, the word was with God, and the word was God, and he spoke the world into existence. And here he is in this simple thing. He says, split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there. It's not saying that he's literally under a stone. He's saying that in the genetic structure makeup of this planet, of this, third dimensional realm that we're in, he is the light that is projected and made this. Now, whether that through that, thought transmission through his mind, I don't know how he does it, because he's God, only he knows that. But my opinion, that's what he's telling you. Any thoughts?
No, what did it say? One of the verses talk about even if he was silent, the stones themselves would cry out and praise and worship.
That's
because
right.
they came from him. Exactly.
That's right. That's right. So let's go to, I'll let you want to pick this one up?
Okay, let me see. The Gospel of Thomas, Jesus declares that we are the sons of Adam, that we are beings of pure light, aka the sons of God. Okay, Book of Thomas, verse 82, Jesus said, he who is near me is near the fire, and he who is far from me is far from the kingdom. Jesus said, the images are manifest to man, but the light of them remains concealed in the images of the light of the Father. He will become manifest, but his image will remain concealed by his light. Okay? Jesus said, when you see your likeness, you rejoice. But when you see your images, which came into being before you, and which neither die not become manifest, how much more you will have to bear. Jesus said, Adam came into being from a great power and a great wealth, but he did not become worthy of you. For had he been worthy, he would not have experienced death.
Well, that's a deep one right there. I mean, he's let me give my little 2 cents in here.
Oh, yes, please.
I would say the verse 83, what he's saying, he says, let's start 82. He says, he who is near me is near the fire. Our Father's the eternal fire, the light, the light of the world. Remember in Revelation 22:16, he says, I'm the root and the offspring of David and the light of the world, basically is what he said, the morning star. That's just another way. What does a star produce? Light. That's what he's telling you.
Yes, sir.
It says, Jesus said, the images are manifest to man. So this is in reverse what he's saying. And follow me on this. He says, but the light in them remains concealed in the image of the light of the Father. So he's telling you here, in the flesh form of that body that God made for Adam and stretched the skin out for his children, it says that this light is in you. It's concealed in the flesh body, but it's from the Father. Like Jesus said earlier, I am the light of the world. Okay. But he says, he will become manifest. Who is he? This is Jesus. Jesus, I will become manifest, but his image will remain concealed by his light. So in other words, when he comes back, you can't see his real image because the light that glows from him. Remember what Adam said, I cannot see the angels because my eyes are flesh. So his image is concealed from the light. It's like if you look up at the stars or you look into the sun, I'm not saying it has a shape or it doesn't, obviously it's round, but if there were a shape or some type of object, you couldn't see it with your flesh eye because the light blocks it out. And that's what he's telling you. What is your opinion?
No, that's good. Like I said, in the structure of what he is underneath that light, you can't see because of the light is what I'm getting out of that.
Yeah,
Yes,
and that's what he's saying. And he's telling us here that the images are manifest to man, but the light in them concealed in the image of the light of the Father. So that flesh body conceals the Father of our light. But have you ever noticed sometimes you'll go into a place and you don't know anybody and you don't know a soul in, like, let's say you go to a library or a restaurant and people are giving you dirty looks for no reason. Like you can see hatred, and it's not the flesh that they hate. The demon that dwells within them can see that light manifest coming out of you, and that's why they hate you. It's not your flesh body. In other words, does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, sir. So someone that's as a like spirit that you are, you get together because your spirit recognizes their spirit. But on the other hand, those that don't have your light in a different spirit, they also recognize, and that's where the hatred and they despise you.
Oh, there's no doubt, bro. You're 100% right about that. And in 85, he tells you right here, he tells you Adam came forth into being from a great power. Well, the Bible just says no, that God made Adam and he put him in to till the land. But right here it says Adam came forth, came into being from a great power. So you see what I'm saying? The differences of the text, how one expands upon the meaning
Yes,
a lot more in depth than just the 66 books of the Masoretic scribes.
and if you just look at the time frame, the biblical time frame of when Adam was placed here in his flesh body, and God said that no man to till the soil, and we already know that's a mistranslation or misleading to what really happened. But if you match that with what happened in Mesopotamia, we know there were civilizations almost 250,000 years on the planet. The Assyrian, and then later on came the sub-Saharan, and we had lesser men, Enosh. But all of a sudden, like somebody turned on a switch at exactly the time when we say Adam was placed here. All of a sudden, we had writing, we had records, speech, agriculture, domestication of animals, music, metallurgy. All of that just seemed to have like somebody turned on a switch and it happened overnight. That coincides with the time Adam was placed here to administer over this planet.
Well, and Thoth said the same thing. Thoth, because remember, they came from a highly advanced civilization that was destroyed, and then they started over. And Thoth said that in the future, that this light, this wisdom would be brought back slowly, incrementally through the children of Atlantis,
There you
which
go.
are the children of Adam.
And that's exactly what happened with just like it's turned on overnight. All this high civilization, and it originated over what we call Mesopotamia. But
Well, I'm gonna play a little video,
okay,
and just how we spoke in the past, how Hollywood, they
yes,
literally tell you and they hide it in plain sight through science fiction or like I call a veneer or an overlay, but they're telling you the truth. Well,
yes.
this is from a clip from one of the superhero movies, and they're going to tell you exactly who the children of light are and what color they are. So be patient. Let me turn this thing on and give me your thoughts after this, Carl.
You want me to leave? No. Just don't move. These lights represent every living person on the planet. The white lights are humans. And these are the mutants. Through Cerebro, I'm connected to them.
One more time.
The white lights are humans.
Wow.
And these
So they're telling you, like you said before, when you talked about two seed lines. What now? The book of Revelation tells you that old serpent, the devil, and the red dragon. Well, you notice in that it tells you that it said the white lights are the humans, and then these are the mutants. So these are the fallen angel, because Cain was the first mutant. If you want, he was half his father Satan, half his mother Eve, and in Hollywood, in this movie, superhero movie X-Men, they're telling you the white lights are the human and are humans, and then it shows the red lights are the children of the dragon. And I don't mean to bring my picture up as an ego trip or anything, but years ago we captured this picture of what they call your white light aura, and every white man, woman, and child on this earth has this same exact light, this aura in them. And this was a picture that my son captured, my older son, and we were out in the backyard and we were he said, Dad, look, he said, you look like you're glowing. So what are you talking about? He said, hold on. He ran inside and grabbed the camera and he took a picture of me. And this was what came out. It freaked me out. I was like, what the heck is this? I didn't know anything. This is in 2015. I didn't even know anything about auras. Any thoughts?
Oh, what we're talking about with the red light and the white light, Jesus himself, with the parable of the wheat and the tares, tells you who those other ones are. They are children, literal offspring of the evil one. The weeds there are the
Weeds.
darnel that were planted at night by the evil one,
That's,
sown in the field. So we are truly on a planet with not just an Enosh, the natural man, who don't understand the things of the spirit, but we're also matched up with those that are children, actual genetic offspring of the evil one, and us who are genetic offspring of the seed of the woman.
that's right. That's right. And also, you know, they always say the seed of the woman, but also the seed of our Father.
Yes, sir. And it through, and I guess through Eve is what they're trying to say.
Well, the children of the dragon will always identify themselves through their mother's side. And the reason that they identify themselves through their mother's side, it's a matriarch. The reason they do that is because they say that their spark of divinity comes through Eve. So if you read deeper into the Nag Hammadi text, it says basically the same story, but they use different terminology. They say that the Sophia, which was the spark of divinity of light, was passed from Adam to Eve. Therefore, Satan raped her, and that the archons recognized that Adam was even greater than they were and took control of the earth. So they tried to do it through Adam, and they didn't succeed. And then they realized that this Sophia, this is the Demiurge, this is in the writings of the Nag Hammadi text, says that the Demiurge or these archons with their leader, which is Satan, we call Satan in the Hebrew tongue, it said that he went and raped Eve and impregnated her with Cain. And it literally says that, but they were seeking to take that spark of divinity to upgrade their DNA. So like we said in the past, to fulfill the 5 I wills, like you said.
But they did in fact upgrade temporarily, because when Jesus was sacrificed on the cross, the perfect sacrifice, when he took Satan down to release his children from that pit.
That's right.
That's when Beelzebub tells Satan, look, that advantage you gained is no longer there.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it amazing though how they hide these texts like a puzzle, and they put them and it's so it's like if you don't dig into these things like all the time, like and put it, it's like how do you and with I would say with God's help, it has to be. I mean, how do you connect these things? And this could only come from the mind of the devil. Think about it. I mean, God sends you to the earth, wipes your memory, and then you go to and in the Western world, you go to church saying, yeah, Jesus is our Father. Okay, we get it. He's God. And then they give you 66 books, and that's it. And that's what you get.
Just the numbers, the sixes alone should tell you right away that there's something wrong with that, instead of 77 or 88 books. You see what I'm saying? I mean, automatically they're in your face with the fact that they've screwed with it.
Well, I don't know the exact number of the books in the Catholic Bible. I'm sure it's been altered as well, but that was written off the Latin Vulgate compared to our modern day, Textus Receptus, the received word, that was penned by the lying pen of the scribe, like you said before. But they even in the Catholic version of their Bible, they have more books than we do.
Yes, sir.
So so you get into the argument like which religion is the right one, but we're getting a little sidetracked here. But Carl, you want to read? This is another saying from the fragments of the Greek sayings of Thomas.
Yes.
Know thyself.
Know thyself. All right. Jesus said, if those who attract you say, see, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is under the earth, then the fish of the sea will precede you. Rather, the kingdom of God is inside of you, and it is outside of you. Those who become acquainted with themselves will find it. Oh my goodness, dude. And when you become acquainted with yourself, you will understand that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. Whoa.
And what is that poverty that you said this? And I'm gonna steal this from you, bro. The church, that poverty is the church tells you that you're nothing but a filthy, stinking Gentile.
Yes, sir.
That's all you are. So
yes,
you go through your life in this Judeo-Christian church believing that you're just a Gentile, and then you don't even know what it means.
That you're an afterthought, that God just like, okay, well, because the chosen ones didn't accept me, well, now you can get in on the ground floor by being grafted back in, but they're trying to graft you into people who call your God Hashem, and they hate your Jesus with a deep purple passion. But if you're fortunate enough to recite the sinner's prayer, then you're grafted back into those folks. No, sir. That's how we have this hybridization called Judeo-Christianity, because they are being grafted back into the wrong root.
And when he said, and I hate, please, I'm not on an ego trip, so I feel uncomfortable even bringing these pictures up, but Jesus, we went over countless verses where Jesus says he's the light of the life is in you, it's hidden by the flesh. But when you see that this light, and then Hollywood themselves tell you, human, hue doesn't mean hued skin, human means spirit man. This light that dwells in all of our race, everyone has this light, not just me, you have it, your wives, your kids, everyone of our race has this white light from our Father, Jesus Christ. That's where we got it from.
And like our buddy Wesley Swift said, that God will sometimes activate that for whatever reason. He'll activate it. And I feel like he done that as well with our buddy Samson back in the day, when Samson would just all of a sudden would be, and when they do movies of Samson, it looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think Samson looked like Barney Fife, because then it wouldn't have been the Spirit of God that came upon him. It had been his own physical strength and his abilities. So I know I'm getting off on a tangent there, but
oh, you're fine.
He didn't stick out any more than the other people, because somebody had to identify who he was so they could round him up. It was nothing special about him until that he was, and again, I hate to use the word activated, but until that spirit or that inner light was allowed to project forth with that strength of the Holy Spirit. I'm sorry, dude. That
was a good one. No, I felt my DNA like pulsating right there. I thought I was going to be activated. I was about to change my name.
Oh my God. And I just did something to the screen by accident.
What was that, from your energy, from your DNA? Did you activate something? What
I
did you
clicked. I actually, my mouse went over something and clicked. So the part I'm supposed to be reading is so microscopic now I can't see it, and all I can see is a big bald-headed guy on my screen.
Okay, I'll read it. No big deal, man. Look, well, this is from the book of Adam and Eve, and like we said before in the past, that the Bible says, oh, and Adam and Eve ate from an apple tree or whatever, a fruit tree, and oh my God, that they knew they were naked, which is, just metaphor. It's a very low level metaphor. But this is telling you basically that the two they were both forbidden trees. Satan had a forbidden tree as well. And his forbidden tree was to intermingle with the children of God, Adam and Eve. So I'm going to read this right here. It says, starting here, it says, I think this is from the second book, if I'm not mistaken. For I knew this is God talking to Adam. He's telling, for I knew thou should sin and transgress and come out into this land. Yet would I not force thee, nor be heard upon thee, nor shut up, nor doom thee through thy fall, nor through thy coming out from light into darkness. So he didn't put Adam in a dark body. He's saying that he was in a light body and he put him into this dark cave. So he was forced to live in a cave, just like our adversaries always saying, ha, you crackers live in a cave. Y'all be living in them caves. They always say that. So right here it says, from light into darkness, nor yet through thy coining from the garden into this land. So they're not in the garden. They're in a foreign land and forced to live in the cave of treasures. For I made thee, O Adam, of light. So here we go with that light again. And Jesus said, I'm the light of the world. I am the all. So here another book is confirming it. For I made thee, O Adam, of the light, and I willed to bring out children of light from thee and like unto thee. But thou didst not keep one day my commandment until I had finished the creation and blessed everything in it. Then I commanded thee concerning the tree. So the Judeo-Christian tells us it's a tree with a fruit. It's an apple. Well, this is saying something totally different. That thou eat not thereof. Yet I knew that Satan, who deceived himself, would also deceive thee. Our Father's all-knowing, all-seeing. This is a part of his plan. He knew it would happen. Now, here's the key point right here. So I made known to thee by means of the tree not to come near him. I think in this context, though, he's telling you right here, he said, I commanded thee concerning the tree that thou not eat thereof. Yet I knew that Satan. So he's referring to Satan as this tree.
Yes, sir. And look, Satan not only deceived our people, but he deceived himself in thinking that he could the 5 eye wheels and actually take the place of God and rule this place. So he deceived himself first. Now that's interesting. That's the first time I've ever thought of it like that.
Well, what he's saying here, though, like I said, it's metaphor. This is even metaphor, but at a higher level than Genesis. So he said, I commanded thee concerning the tree, that thou eat not thereof. Yet I knew Satan, who deceived himself, would also deceive you. So how can he be talking about a tree, but then he brings Satan into it? So
exactly.
He's talking, Satan is this tree. This is a family tree that he's talking about. This is a lower level Gregorian angel, or leader of the Gregorian angels right here. And he's telling that the Son of God is not to mix with the Gregorian angels. They're to be separate. He said, so I made it known to thee by all means of the tree not to come near him. He's Satan. And I told thee not to eat of the fruit thereof, or not to taste of it, yet not to sit or yield to it. So I'll continue here. And it says Adam's fall, and we're going to go through the body again. Like we had spoken in the past before, the Bible clearly tells you about Satan. Says, oh, that old dragon. And, you think it's some medieval dragon, flying around with flames coming out of his mouth, and, that type thing. But if you read the text, even in the Bible, it never really gives you a description of it. It doesn't give you a description of him. It doesn't tell you what Cain looked like. Although in Songs of Solomon 5 verse 10, it literally tells you what Solomon looked like. My beloved is white and ruddy. Okay. And ruddy doesn't mean, what our adversaries say. It means white. There's no white is white. So I'm going to read this right here. It says, the fall of Adam, why night and day were created. Then when God, who is merciful and full of pity, heard Adam's voice, he said unto him, O Adam, so long as the good angel, this was Satan, was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and his host. But when he transgressed my commandment, I deprived him of that bright nature, and he became dark. So ask yourself right here, it says when he transgressed my commandment. Well, the Bible doesn't tell you that God gave Satan a commandment. What was the commandment God gave to Satan that made him fall? It said, but when he transgressed my commandment, I deprived him of that bright nature, and he became black. So in other words, he's telling you that he was told there is a forbidden family tree you cannot mix with. There's nowhere in the Bible, to my knowledge, and you may be more versed on the Bible. I've read it a few times, but I think your knowledge surpasses mine when it comes from your church background. But basically, he's telling you here that Satan transgressed his commandment. Well, what was the commandment? Does the Bible say anything about a commandment to Satan?
No.
Okay, so in other words, when you go back, hold on a second. I've lost my backing up a bit. Hold on a second. I'm blocking it. Hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds. If you go back here, it says, then I commanded thee concerning the tree. Or I'm sorry, I read the wrong thing. It says, but thou did not keep my commandment one day until I had finished the creation, blessing everything. Then I commanded thee concerning the tree that thou did not eat. Yet I knew Satan, who deceived himself, would also deceive thee. So he deceived himself. How? How did he thought he could be God. So obviously, how did he think he could be God? That he would steal the divine spark from Eve by sexually mixing with her and upgrading his DNA from that fiery angel that he was created to gain the heavenly wisdom and knowledge and become a higher strand DNA, like we said earlier, from whatever strand he was to the top tier like Adam was. And so in other words, they both had trees that they were commanded not to eat of.
Exactly. See that again, that's not taught in Sunday school or church under the steeple. But you're right. Satan was not allowed to upgrade. He wasn't allowed to partake of that tree of life of Adam's race, as just like Adam was not allowed to, because of the consequences of downgrading when he partook of the other tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
And it tells you that God bathed them and that they were clothed in light.
Yes, sir.
So this light that emanated from their body, as like we said in our past show, we believe that they were 12-strand DNA beings of heavenly knowledge and wisdom that the angels didn't possess. And as a matter of fact, in certain ancient texts, it even tells you that God gave more wisdom to Adam than any of the angels, even more than Michael, and that the angels would come to Adam to ask him things of heavenly things. And Adam knew, but upon his fall, it said that his intellect was downgraded. See what I'm saying?
When I think about it, we got, they say 10% use of our brain. And if you had 100% use, it's not going to be like 90%. It's going to be exponential as each percentage goes up. So think about that man in his perfect body before he fell. That's why God brought everything for him to name the animals, to call whatever he called them. That's what they were named. And that was downgraded to where we've got this. We know we have the capacity, if it was turned on, to do. I mean, if you had 100% use of your brain, you could heal yourself. You could pass through walls. You could light your cigarette by looking at it. I mean, that's just being a little flippant, but yeah, it would be unlimited potential if we had 100% use of that brain. But we've been reduced because of this very act right here.
Well, and it also said that the Atlanteans could communicate through telekinesis. I mean, they didn't have to move their mouth; they could, thought transference. But I'd like to back up a little bit and finish this right here. It says, "And when he was in the heavens, in the realms of light, he knew not of darkness, but he transgressed, and I made him fall from heaven upon the earth. And it was this darkness that came upon him." So he's talking about a body. And why do you say that? Because I'm going to answer that. It says, "And on thee, O Adam, while in my garden, and obedient to me," hold on a second, I hit the wrong thing there. "And obedient to me, did that bright light rest also. But when I knew of thy transgression, I deprived thee of that bright light. Yet of my mercy, I did not turn you black or into darkness, but I made thee a body of flesh over which I spread this skin, in order that it may bear cold and heat." So not only they fell at the same time, they were both beings of light. But not only did he make Adam a body, he made Satan a body and cast him down on the earth. He couldn't come down to the earth in his angelic form and from a higher dimensional being into that form. And he threw him down on the earth into a flesh body. And he's telling you that this darkness surrounded him. He didn't throw Satan into a cave. Not at first. I mean, not until, like you said earlier from the Gospel of Nicodemus. So continuing, we had spoke earlier about what Satan looked like, what his appearance was.
Now, Joey, I've got that screen back to where it was. If you need me to give you a break on the reading.
Oh, no, you're fine, brother. Okay. This is not, when we read this text, what we're about to the information we're about to give you, there's no emotion. And I feel like I can speak for both of us. And if I misspeak, please correct me. But there's no emotion involved in this. There's no hate. There's no love. We are simply bringing forth what is written in ancient hidden text. So this is not an attack on anyone, but is simply bringing forth hidden knowledge. And we're revealing things that the Bible has kept hidden or dormant for all these years. So Corey, yeah, if you would read this, that'd be great, man.
Okay, the Forgotten Books of Eden, and chapter 4, Adam sees the devil in his true colors. Then God ordered Satan to show himself to Adam plainly in his own hideous form. But when Adam saw him, he feared and trembled at the sight of him. And God said to Adam, "Look at this devil and at his hideous look, and know that he it is who made thee fall from brightness into darkness, from peace and rest to toil and misery. And look, O Adam, at him Who said of himself that he is God? Now, this is Satan saying that he's God. And then God's asking Adam, can God be black?
So he now look at the beginning. Adam sees the devil in his true colors.
Yes.
So this is giving a very specific, appearance of the devil. I mean, he's telling you what he looks like. And our Bible falls short of this. It doesn't give any indication of what he looks like other than, oh, it was a red dragon. That
Yep.
I mean,
or that a mark was placed on Cain, and you're left to just wonder, well, what kind of mark?
What mark is that exactly?
Yeah.
So we're just bringing forth what these ancient texts are saying, and as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, that these lost books of the forgotten books of Eden, these are from the Ethiopic text. So these are from Ethiopia. Where's Ethiopia, Carl?
Ethiopia is in, I would say, pretty close to Egypt.
So Africa,
which, but at the time that these texts were written, the sub-Saharans had not mongrelized, amalgamated, or destroyed a high form of civilization, which were our people at the time in Ethiopia, by the way.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to play another video for the viewers, and this is from the Ethiopian church right here. Hold on, I'm going to move this. I'm going to move the camera over. Hold on a second. I'm going to minimize this. Hold on a second. Boom. All right. Can you see the screen still, Carl?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to play it right now.
Possibly inspired by yet more Old Testament. But it's not the end of my journey. I've just discovered that there are pictures of the nativity scene nearby, and I'm intrigued to see what they show.
Well, now,
here's the picture of the Holy Family. You can see quite clearly King Bassan depicted delivering his gift of gold. What's unique about this is that Salome is also included in the picture, the midwife. But what I'm struggling with is the fact that given that Bassan is from here, Ethiopia, and is an African, you would have thought they'd made some effort to distinguish his Africanness from the Easternness or Jewishness of the other figures.
Having set off deep into ancient Ethiopia to find the Black Wise Man, when I finally arrive, it seems to be the one place in the world where there's no Black Wise Man at all.
Now this says a great deal. It's actually quite shocking. You've got Mary and Jesus, the Holy Child, using the same kind of colour symbolism that we find in the rest of the church, where the Holy Family are painted in a light shade. And then in contrast, we have a picture of the devil, and the devil is black. You know, this is some serious stuff happening here.
I think there never was a Black Wise Man. Probably King Bassan never was a Christian, even though he was on the throne at the time that Jesus was born.
Now, Carl, I'd like to fast forward this and play another part now. They're going to show one of the oldest known pictures of the real nativity of what Jesus and Mary look like. So if you'd be patient with me, hold on, let me scroll forward, and we are right here.
This is Mount Sinai in Egypt. Since the 3rd century, there's been a monastery here guarding some of the earliest clues about the Nativity. St. Catherine's is built under the mountain, where in the Old Testament Moses received the 10 Commandments from God. Here are pages from the oldest Bible in the world and some of the earliest images of the event which changed the course of human history. I'm hoping that here, at last, I'll be able to decode the nativity story that we recreate every Christmas and understand what it means for me today. This is one of the world's 8 earliest images of the Nativity, safeguarded at St. Catherine's on Mount Sinai. The art expert and nun, Sister Wendy Beckett, tracked it down, and she thinks it unlocks a series of clues about the way the earliest Christians saw Jesus' birth without any of the trappings of our nativity scene.
You might say this is the minimal nativity. This is the nativity in essence. This is really what it is. The full story doesn't add to that. It just extends it. It shows how the early church looked at mother and child. So it's precious not just for itself, but for what it tells us.
So right there, what are some thoughts that come to your mind when you see those two videos, Carl?
Well, obviously, our people have been in this uniform that we're wearing right now, that I say this skin color. And this guy was actually trying to find and debunk that very thing, and he couldn't do it. And I mean, here he is, a dark-skinned gentleman, obviously sub-Saharan African, trying to find evidence of black
Wise man.
in Ethiopia, of all places, which we know from the Ethiopian eunuch when Philip jumped into the chariot to talk to him that he was of the same race as Philip, and Philip was an Israelite. And obviously someone has come into society and destroyed a society by, again, mixing, mongrelizing, amalgamating, and absolutely destroying high levels of society. And that seems to be the mission of the children of the evil one.
Well, and the reason I bring this up, like we said, you can never find a description of the people in, I guess, the grand chessboard, I guess. You know, they talk about the Israelites. Okay, what do they look like? You know, there are a few verses that tell you, who were the Canaanites? Who was Satan? What did he look like? And then when you really think about it, it comes to your mind, well, this is why that they took these texts out, because how do you know, how can you win the game if you don't even know who the players are or what they look like? You're a stinking, filthy Gentile. And there's no real definition of what a Gentile is given by the church or the Judeo-Christian church to their members. They have no idea. So they buy it hook, line, and sinker, and they believe that, like you said, you were in church your whole life, all these years, and they never actually told you what a Gentile meant. So what my opinion, these texts were taken out to hide who the players in the grand chessboard are and what they look like. So I'm gonna, if you want to read this or you want me to take it, we're gonna prove what we're saying about Satan. You just seen that from the Ethiopic church. We just presented evidence from the books of Adam and Eve, and now we're going into to the book of Enoch. And Carl, do you want to take this, or you want me to take it?
I'll take it, brother. And those men took me and led me up onto the second heaven and showed me darkness greater than earthly darkness. And there I saw prisoners hanging, watched, awaiting the great and boundless judgment. And these angels were dark looking.
Say what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Could you repeat that? That the angels
they were
what?
Dark looking.
Oh, okay.
More than earthly darkness, and incessantly making weeping throughout all hours. So they're awaiting judgment. They're obviously dark looking, meaning what? Let's go say the word, black.
Well, and if you notice, it doesn't say anywhere that I, God, have sent the children of Adam to save the angels, like some charlatans teach, a fraud, because there's no book that says that I can find. If there is, I'll stand corrected, but I can't. Have you ever read a book that says that?
I have not, and I think it's someone else's doctrine that was borrowed or
plagiarized.
That's a good word, plagiarized or conscripted. All of the above.
Well, and I think if you read to it, it pretty much proves what we just said.
Yes, sir. And verse 2, and I said to the men who were with me, wherefore are these incessantly tortured? They answered me, these are God's apostates. Oh my goodness, that's heavy. Who obeyed not God's commands, but took counsel with their own will and turned away with their prince, who also is fastened in the fifth heaven.
So we're going to go to the next one, and we're going to find out who their prince is. So now he's visiting the fifth heaven. You want me to take this, or you got it?
Oh, bro, if you don't mind, I can read this.
Go ahead.
Let's see. what is that, verse 15?
Yeah, Enoch visits the fifth heaven.
16. Of the taking of Enoch to the fifth heaven. The men took me on to the fifth heaven and placed me, and there I saw many and countless soldiers called Grigori, of human appearance, and their size was greater than that of great giants, and their faces were withered, meaning black, and the silence of their mouths perpetual, and there was no service on the fifth heaven. And I said to the men who were with me, wherefore are these very withered, and their faces melancholy, and their mouths silent? And wherefore is there no service in this heaven? And they said to me, these are the Grigori, who with their prince Sataniel, which knocked the ale off, and you got Satan, rejected the Lord of light, and after
Pause.
them.
I'm sorry, I may interrupt you, but on 3 it says these are the Grigori who with their prince Satan rejected the Lord of light. What did Jesus say he was? The light of the world.
Yes, sir.
The all. So I'm sorry, my brother.
No, that's good, but that was timely. And after them are those who are held in great darkness on the second heaven. And 3 of them went down to earth from the Lord's throne to the place Hermon, which would be, I'm guessing that's a corruption, or Mount Hermon, right?
Yes, sir.
And broke through their vows on the shoulder of the hills of Hermon, and saw the daughters of men how good they are, and took to themselves wives, and befouled the earth with their deeds, who in all times of their age made lawlessness and mixing with giants, and giants were born, and marvelous big men, and great enmity. So giants and just absolute hatred and warfare, hatred and warfare,
and mixing,
yes, sir.
Touching of the blood.
And therefore God judged them with great judgment, and they wept for their brethren, and they will be punished on the Lord's great day. And I said to the Grigori, I saw your brethren and their works and their great torments, and I prayed for them, but the Lord has condemned them to be under earth till heaven and earth shall end forever. Whoa.
So that, I mean, how would you connect that to we're here to save them?
I don't see that, because this gentleman for him, and God's like, no, they're condemned. Boom, over with.
They've already been judged. Exactly.
Yes, sir. Until the heaven and earth shall end forever. In other words, I take that to mean till the end of this earth age. Or, well, no. Let's look at it. No, I'm saying the way that's written, it means there is no end to their condemnation.
I would have to concur. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. I mean, I can't find a verse where it says, "Oh, the people here on the earth are angels." No, I would say that, like from what Hollywood told you in the X-Men movie, it said that there are humans who are the white lights, and then the red lights were mutants. So that means they're half fallen angel, or the prodigy, the children of the half fallen angels and half, God through Eve. But wouldn't that make them, I would say, like, I would say like a modern day Nephilim?
Yeah, exactly. Again, this definition of Nephilim would be that mixing of the bloods from the fallen with either Enosh or with the sons of God, and I think it's a greater sin when they mix with the sons of God. Yes, sir. And where he saw the Gregorian, how and you had commented how we're really not placed here to save the angels, because once they've fallen, we see they've been suspended or chained up and under condemnation forever.
Mm.
And even Enoch tried to pray for him, but it wasn't. God just let him know, hey, let it go. They've already been handled. I'm taking care of them.
Right. Well, let's go to the next slide here. Definition of dark. Black is a color which results from the absence or complete absorption of visible light. It is an achromatic color without hue, like white and gray. It is often used symbolically or figuratively to represent darkness. Enoch sees dark-looking angels in the second and fifth heaven, the Grigori. And here we have an illustration of the same picture in the church of Ethiopia of Mary, and there's Jesus, and there's Mary, and there's Satan in fire and burning in fire, in the fifth heaven, just like the book of Enoch says. Any thoughts on that, Carl?
I mean, that pretty much explains itself. I mean, it clears it up. And if you, I'm saying if you're not getting it or you refuse to see it, then you're still under that spell of Judeo-Christianity, and I don't know what else can be done for you.
Well, and like we said earlier, this has, the enemy will use emotion to silence you, and this has nothing to do with emotion. I don't feel one way or another. I don't feel love. I don't feel hate. I'm just bringing forth the written documents. And people say, oh, well, that those books that, that's why they weren't canonized or canonized. Well, I mean, like we said before, these are the same characters. They're not different characters. They're the same exact characters. So as we proved it earlier in the show, in our show notes in the book of Acts, they've added and they've taken away from God's word. This is a fact. Anyone can look at the Bible and compare different Bibles, and you'll see differences in the verses. Would you agree, Carl?
Exactly. And you say canonized or canonized, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but this thing about, well, the church fathers did not feel this was scripture or what's the word?
Inspired.
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 That's the word. So again, you're looking to these, you're calling these people church fathers, and Jesus plainly tells you, call no man father except the Father above. So you're deferring to these folks, and you're giving them the power to pick and choose what you have available to study to show yourself approved, because you've allowed these jokers to take it out of the Bible and tell you it's not canonized or inspired. So you just fall into it and you avoid reading. That to me is absolutely being willingly ignorant of what God said.
Hold on a second. Okay. I totally agree with you. Sorry, I was having a little technical difficulty there. We're going to go here to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth again. And you and I had spoke about this before.
Yes.
About the sons of light and the sons of darkness. And it even tells you back in here. And would you like to read this, or you want me to read this?
Okay. I can read it. Emerald Tablets of Thoth, sons of light versus dark brothers. Adepts has there been filled with the blackness, struggling always against the light, but others there are who, filled with brightness, have ever conquered the darkness of night. Where'er ye may be in all ages and plain. That something just came up when I saw the word plain. Surely ye shall know of the battle with night long ages ago. The sons of the morning descending found the world filled with night. There in the past began the struggle, the age-old battle, darkness and light. Many in the time were so filled with darkness that only feebly flamed the light from the night.
So how do you what's your understanding of that?
Oh my goodness, you've got these dark, and we covered what dark means: the absence of light, or the complete absorption of light, struggling always with the light, but others there are who are filled with brightness. Who are these others filled with brightness? Sons of the Most High God.
That's right. That's right.
And that's our job. Have ever conquered the darkness of night. So apparently, throughout all ages and plain. Now, and that word, I don't even want to get started on this thing about the shape and the planet and all that stuff, but planet. I mean, they're telling us, dude, we're being told right in our face what the shape of this earth is. And also in all ages. In other words, this battle between light and dark has been going on throughout the ages. And
Right.
on this plane, no matter what plane we're on, and plane does not mean round balls scooting through the cosmos, just for the record.
Well, yeah, exactly. I would say when you read this, in my opinion, people say, I'm not shunning what you're saying, bro. I'm trying to stay on task, because I'll forget.
I get sidetracked.
No, you're fine. I'll forget my thought, and I'm trying to hold it because I'm tired anyways, bro. But it says, people will tell you, oh, well, this is spirit. They're talking about a spiritual battle of good and evil. Well, I would put forth that the spiritual is always connected with the physical, as above, so below.
Mm-hmm.
and Jesus even told, he said, you wrestle not against the flesh, but principalities and spirits and darkness, high, but how I just butchered the verse, but you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
And Jesus even told you, in the Gospel of Thomas, he said that the light that dwells in you is from our Father, but it's concealed in a flesh body. So that's the merging of the spirit and the flesh right there. The Spirit of God merged with the flesh covering over the top of it. So that's why I bring these books forward, because it literally, in the Emerald Tablets, there's a whole tablet that talks about this group called the sons of darkness, or the dark brothers. And I'm like, it's kind of hard not to go down that rabbit trail, because all these books are saying the same thing. It's here they're telling you that these dark brothers, that there's a struggle between the sons of light and these dark brothers. And then you go to the book of Enoch, what we just read, and he's telling you that when he was on the second heaven, he's telling you right there that he said that there were these dark looking angels. Beware of the dark brothers, the dark looking angels. So this is in the spirit. And he was taken to another dimension, whether it's another plane, whether it's a planet, well, I don't know what it is, but he's telling you that when he was taken through the dimensions, I think they're dimensions. How God set that out, I have no idea. Been wiped from the memory, I don't know, but I'm trying to be humble. But he's literally telling you that he said that, and these angels were dark looking. And then when you go back to the Emerald Tablets, anyone can read these tablets, or you go on YouTube and listen to them. And he's telling you that there's an age-old battle between darkness and light. And in the Emerald Tablets, it literally tells you the dark brothers over and over. The book of Enoch, the book of Enoch says that. The tablets say it. The forbidden, the books of Adam and Eve, it tells you what Satan looks like. It's just over. And then they tell you, the mark of Cain, and the Judeo-Christian thinks like the mark of Cain, like what was it, like a scar on his face? Someone took a pen and they put an X on him or something, and they really believe that.
Yes.
I mean, any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, that genetic marker. I mean, it's something that's going to extend through his offspring, and it's going to be readily visible. Oh, there you go. Okay, genetic marker. Okay, the next slide.
Well, you want me to take this, or you got it?
Oh my goodness. Enoch's dream vision reveals the mark of Cain, i.e. Satan's genetic mark or marker. Before I took thy mother Edna, I saw in a vision on my bed, and behold, a bull came forth from the earth, and that bull was white, Adam. And after it came forth a heifer, Eve, and along this latter came forth two bulls, one of them black, being Cain, and the other red, Abel. And that black bull gored or killed the red one and pursued him over the earth. And thereupon I could no longer see that red bull. But that black bull, Cain grew, and that heifer, Lalua, his twin sister, went with him. Okay, and you got some figurines that were found right there in Sierra Leone. You want to explain what that is?
Well, these we spoke about this. These were found. They were called the Nomali, and they were found in Sierra Leone in the diamond mines and in certain other places in the area. But they were digging for diamonds, I guess the story goes. And then when they found, I can't remember the gentleman's name that he researched. He was a European gentleman, and the story goes, he went into the tribal chiefs of Africa, and he asked them what these figurines were. And you can clearly see the features of the figurine right here. Yes. It's a serpent creature or an offspring or Grigori itself. I contend that this is a Grigori or a representation of the Grigori that the people saw. But the tribal chief said that what happened is that they said that there were a group of angels that were thrown out of the heavenly empire, and they were cast to the earth. And they said that they found these stones on the earth called sky stones. Okay, wrap your brain around that. And they were blue stones, and there have been multiple tests on them. They have no idea where they came from. That they can't make out, what the genetic makeup, or however whatever verbiage you would use for a stone. But maybe you're more versed in that. You being a treasure hunter and all that.
I would say the molecular structure of the stone.
There you go.
And here's my thoughts on that. What color are these stones that they're calling earth stones?
They're sky stones. They're blue.
Sky stones.
They're blue like the sky.
Yes,
with veins through them. They said not actual veins, but they look like veins.
And then they've got a blue ice in Antarctica that supposedly they're studying that actually joins up to what we would call the firmament, or that shell. Like we're pheasant under glass. We're in a quarantine here. I'm for lack of a better word, and under this firmament thing that was obviously shattered when these things were cast down to earth, and bits and pieces of it are being found, and they are found in sub-Saharan Africa in more than one place. I've actually studied these things, but you're right, they have no analysis of them and do not show anything that's common to the earth. It's just definitely foreign to the terrestrial.
And it's funny that you say that, because there's and I'm going to try not to butcher this word, but a legend from Quetzalcoatl. Did I get it right, bro?
Well, close. Well, again, I'm not. Again, that's a Mayan, if I'm not mistaken. It's either Mayan or Aztec, so we probably don't really know how to pronounce it. But Quetzalcoatl, close enough.
Well, the legend goes that it was him that restored the sky. That once the sky was destroyed, it was him that rebuilt the sky. So wrap your head around that one. Why would these people say that?
If the sky hadn't been, how would they even have a concept of the sky being destroyed?
Well, and the African tribal chiefs say the same thing. They say that these fallen angels, they were cast down to earth, and their literal words were from the heavenly. I think they called it the heavenly empire, because they didn't follow the Creator's rules or his law, and he threw them down on the earth. And I would say that has something to do with the heavenly war. I mean, would you concur with that, or do you have a different
and Jesus' own words, he said, I beheld Satan fall as lightning. In other words, an event that happened in the past before Jesus even showed up, he actually observed Satan being cast down to earth like lightning.
Well, because he's the one that threw him down.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Well, and it even says in other texts, and I think it's the Cave of Treasures. It tells you of the war between. It tells you the number of the archangels with Michael. That says that they have all these weapons, like axes of fire, spears of fire. Sound like some kind of high-tech weaponry. But it says that Michael was losing at first, and then it said that the Most High stepped in and gave Michael the weapon of the cross of light. And it says that he gave it to Michael. Michael hit him with this cross weapon, and he said he became faint, and then they did a number on him and whooped his ass and threw him back down to earth.
There you go. And see, and even some of the ancient texts, Indian texts, absolutely, the whole thing of the flying carpet and all that stuff, that's not just some Aladdin's lamp type thing. There are actually records of these weapons being used in the sky in battles, and certain groups conquering other groups up there in aerial warfare over top of this planet.
Well, and I'm not an expert on this, but I know and I probably will butcher this word as well, but the Indian or the Vedic text, the Vaga, Habita, whatever, however you say it.
Yes, sir. And you got me. Yeah, I'm going to just defer that to you, because I would butcher it as well. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. The Vedas. Yeah,
but they didn't write, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but they didn't write that text. That was written by the Aryans that were there. That was written by, who are the Aryans? They were the children of Adam. Yes. Obviously that they culturally appropriated the stories, and they colored themselves in. But that's the actual. If you look at the pictures are remarkable of the war that they're showing between the two different sides, and then that kind of gets into to the Battle of Nuremberg, I think in the 1500s, where it shows. I can't remember the exact date. I knew it was in the 1500s, but it shows these flying craft, and it shows literal flying crosses with like orbs, but crosses, and it shows them battling each other.
Yes, sir.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I've actually studied that, and there's wood cuttings from Nuremberg that actually depict that as well. So, meaning someone actually witnessed that and recorded that in wood cutting.
Well, it said that these, we know who were in Nuremberg. We know the tribe of Judah was there.
Yes, sir.
And it said that these one beings came down and started like launching an attack on their city. And then I guess the way the story goes, and I might be butchering the story as well, but if memory serves me correctly, that it says that the sun opened up and that these beings came out of the sun, and it said they were flying crosses and orbs came out of the sun and started blasting these other beings that were attacking the real tribe of Judah. And it said that they did a number on them, and then once they were done, it said the sun opened up again and they flew right back into the sun and it was over. Have you heard the same story or the legend?
I've not heard about coming in and out of the sun, but that these orbs or these light figures came down and actually defeated these other flying ships.
All right, bro. So going to the next slide here. All right, so this only the children of Adam can ascend to the heavens, sons of light. This is John 3:13. It's the King James Version. It says, "And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that come down from heaven, even the Son of Man, or Adam, the Son of God, which is in heaven, which he is in heaven, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, was the son of Adam, which was the son of God."
Yes.
And any thoughts on that? Would you like to read the Wycliffe?
"And no man ascendeth into heaven, but he that came down from heaven, man's son that is in heaven."
You see how they changed it right there?
Yes,
The
sir.
older version, man's son, and then
The
son of
man-free.
man.
Son of man. So again, when we got Jesus talking to Nicodemus, explaining this, and the Judeo-Christians have grabbed a hold of this, you must be born again. You had to have been born from above, period. That's it. And this does not apply to natural man. It doesn't. And I'm not the one saying that. I mean, I'm not being, and I don't know what their program is. I don't know if they get reincarnated or what happens to them at the end time, but we do know that they all will be brought to worship Jesus and his children at what I guess New Jerusalem at the time. Every knee will bow, every tongue, every language will confess that Jesus Christ is
the Father,
Lord or God.
That's right, the creator. Exactly, bro.
Yes, sir.
Now, if it's kind of interesting though, because we get caught up, like in the CI, the CI community.
Yes.
And if you notice, they're always arguing, oh no, I'm right, you're right, this and this, and they always argue about what does Israel mean, and I have my own spin on it. I'm not saying that what I say is written in concrete. It's just my opinion from my research, so take it with a grain of salt. But I go to the next slide, and I'll read this if you don't mind, bro. It says, in 1858, Samuel Dunlap, in his Vestiges of the Spirit of Man, citing France Movers in 1841, stated the Hebrews were the first to turn ancient sun gods into patriarchs, e.g. Atum, Adam, Ra, Abraham, Nun, Noah, etc. I agree with this to a point, but I also disagree with it. And the reason I say I disagree with it is because our enemy always says this. They say that the Christians stole everything from the Egyptians, not realizing that the Egyptians were the progenitors of the Hebrews through Noah, and they came from this individual right here, Adam and Atum, and they ruled in Egypt just like the books of Thoth say. So it's not that the Christians ripped this off from the Egyptians. It's literally a part of our history or
Yes,
God's
sir.
story. It's this. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So if we get into the actual meaning of right here, they'll tell you Abraham. That means Ra, Abra, because it's Ra here and it's Ra there. Well, yes, Abraham was a son of light, and that's what it means, Ra. But Ra is symbolic of, or excuse me, is a genetic connection to Adam. So he was a son of light through Adam. He was through this line, the pure seed line of Adam. So just a simple breakdown of Israel is means light. Ra means the sun, and they'll tell you the sun god from Egypt, sun worship. And no, it's not S-U-N, it's the S-O-N, Atum, Adam. So is light, Ra, the son, Adam, son of El, equals Adam. El is the Semitic title of the God of Israel. Israel basically means the sons of light. So every white man, woman, and child, like we said in the past, they are the sons of light through Israel. But Israel is it's a certain genetic line that had to be kept pure. It couldn't mix in with the red dragon seed, the children of the red dragon that emit the red dragon light of their father, the devil.
Yes, sir.
And it's a pure seed line, whether that's through Ham, Shem, or Japheth, like we said before. We've been intermixing with each other since Adam was thrown into the cave. You know what I'm saying, from then. But it's the basic meaning of it is Israel, in my opinion, or the sons of Adam. That's what it means. Do you have any insight on that?
No, that pretty much clears it to me. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, and really, I have no argument against that. I mean, that's just makes all the sense in the world to me at this point in time.
So, I just wanted to clarify that and then put that out there and see what you thought about it. But, going back to Cain, I just wanted to clarify that because there are some people out there that will tell you Cain was white, then I'm like, yeah, not really. Cain was your first, he was your first, what we would call a mamzer. Like we said before, and all we did was, we're not saying we hate anybody or love anybody, but we're just putting forward the evidence from the text that have been taken out, and we've pretty much connected the dots and brought forth hidden information that's been hidden. And go ahead.
But you can rest assured, Cain and his descendants hate you, and
Oh,
they know how to pick you out of a crowd simply because of, again, I call it the uniform. The uniform we're wearing separates us from the rest of them, and that's how they know who to target and who to hate.
But we know in the end our Father prevails.
Yes.
And our Father said, like he said, fear is a sin. You don't fall to sin, because sin shows lack of faith. So no matter how dark it looks or all the things that you see going around you, know that our Father is in control, and his name is Jesus Christ. He is the light of the world. He is the eternal flame. And he already performed miracles. He was raised from the dead, and everything that he said was fulfilled. He took Adam out of the pit of hell and his children, and he's going to deliver again. There's no doubt in my mind. Any last thoughts?
No, that's what we need to. We need to stand fast, hold on to the faith that we're going to be rescued, and it's going to be like a Hail Mary pass type of a thing, because it has to get to the point where there's no earthly way we can overcome what's coming at us. It has to be our Father that returns and takes care of business for us.
Well, thank you again, Carl. Hey, bro, I'd like to, before we end, since we kind of forgot in the beginning, if we could go ahead and just say a quick prayer to our Father and give thanks to him. Is that all right with you, man?
Oh, definitely.
All right, I'll go first, bro, if you don't mind. Dear Heavenly Father, Father Jesus, I thank you for letting my friend Carl and I come together and put out information that has been hidden, Father. I thank you for always blessing both of our families, and I ask that you keep your hand of protection over our loved ones. I pray for your hand of protection over my brother Carl and over his family as well as mine. And I thank you again, Father, for all the wonderful things that you've given me in my life. And we thank you again. In Jesus Christ's name we pray, Father. Amen.
Amen. Father God, again, I too come to you in thankfulness and just praise you and praise your name and ask for your divine protection, that you keep us in the palm of your hand, Father, myself and Joey's families and those that love you, Father God, your children. Protect us and keep us from that evil that's coming, Father God, the evil that's here, Father, that you would just set us apart, a hedge of protection about us, and just, Father, that you would give us the victory through you. In Jesus' precious holy name I pray. Amen.
Okay, thank you, Carl. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, and we hope you got something out of this.